sure that Kyler Murray is big enough. This is Tom Brady. He's not just going to retire. Whitey, big fan of the show. Appreciate I've got Brian Murphy to my left, making sure everything's smooth, crispy, buttery. James Harden is systematically ruining the game of basketball. He's the most overrated player. And there you are, the Chicago Bears with a championship defense. And Mitch, I'm sure Dancing with the Stars is happy to have Antonio back. If you thought you were going to get Zion, that's your bad.
You are now listening to Open Season. Your host, Billy Allen.
Welcome. You're listening to another edition of Open Season. We're live here from Seasons 52 in Chestnut Hill. I'm Billy Allen, your host, and I'm sitting here with Justin Allain, Alex Torti, and Frankie Bratica. Just a few things to comment on this week. Cam Newton stinks. I can smell him from here. My God, Pats lose big to Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. Tom Brady and the Bucs won big against the Raiders. And the Packers bounced back with Devontae Adams looking completely unguardable. Todd Gurley caught a TD to lose the game against the Lions. And Baker Mayfield impressed with the game of his life in the Ohio Bowl. Big Ben almost threw enough picks to let the Titans back in, but they remain undefeated. And the Cowboys, oh, the poor Cowboys. But it's all about Cam Newton and the Patriots. They are terrible. And Rex Ryan says that the Patriots are a disaster. Let's let it play.
Rex, what are you seeing as you watch him? Because that's a player you hated coaching against because he was so tough.
Yeah, I mean, I love Cam Newton, but this is not Cam Newton. I mean, not the guy that we remember. And look, it was fool's gold. Week 2, we all saw that. Man, he looked great. No, Seattle gives up 500 yards a game. Yeah. What we're seeing now is a guy that has poor mechanics. I know I don't know anything about quarterbacks, right? Well, I know one thing. You better bend your knees and your hips to get anything on the football. He's short hopping balls. He's not accurate. It's just awful. And for 3 years now, I think I've been saying how awful the talent is there. I don't need next-gen stats, even though they exist. There's no separation. So guys can't get open. He can't hit them even if they are open. So this is a disaster right now in New England.
Guys, Cam Newton benched at the 30-6 mark in the third quarter. 9 of 15, 98 yards, 3 picks. A lot of questions going on. QB, defense, coaching. Where do we start?
Coaching. And our coach is our GM, so we're going to topple that on there too. There's a lack of weapons. When we let Tom Brady go, I was in favor of that move, but he left us with nothing. N'Keal Harry was a bad pick. Sony Michel was a bad pick. And Cam Newton's not great. He's better than this, but play calling isn't helping him either.
Yeah, the cupboard's bare. I put it more on the GM than I do the coach. I know they're the same person, but you're going to have to put this on Bill, the GM. I want to say, I'm going to say I told you so because I said Cam wasn't going to be the savior, but watching him, I really don't even know if it's his fault. I think it's really more on the team around him and the lack of weapons.
3 picks aren't his fault?
Oh. No, I think the play calling, I think that the lack of weapons, there's only so much you can do out there as a quarterback when the rest of your team is terrible.
Has anybody heard of Jeff Wilson before? I take it no one has.
Jeff Wilson Jr.
Jeff Wilson Jr. Yeah, he looked like Walter Payton on Sunday. Cam stunk. He did. Rex Ryan, great quarterback coach. Terrible. He's been waiting to call out the Patriots for years. And last time he bent his knees, probably when he was 18. But this is not all on Cam. This is on coaching, most importantly. You can coach footwork for Cam. And my God, that defense. Holy crap. I didn't know we became the Jets over the past 2 weeks.
Guys, how are we going to say that none of this goes on Cam Newton? 3 picks. His mechanics just aren't there. He can't read a defense for the life of him. There's open guys there. There's plays to make. He says after the game he knows what the issue is. When pressed, says that he just needs to play better. It's pretty obvious. Cam Newton needs to play better.
Yeah, but we've ran a simpler offense. And Cam Newton isn't. He deserves a ton of blame. He's not. He's maybe 5th on the list. Coach and GM are first and second. Your supporting cast is third. And your receiver, I guess, supporting cast twice. I mean, your 2 tight ends are garbage. Your wide receiving cast is trash. And Cam Newton can't do it all, and he's not supposed to be the savior. He's supposed to be a little bit better than Joe average, which is what you expect from a guy who was available until July.
So we're just going to expect the Patriots to bargain buy at the best position in sports. You know, they've come into this with no plan at all.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's crazy. And I think that, you start looking at Tom Brady and what he gave us all these years, and you got to ask yourself, was Tom bailing the team out? Was he bailing out Belichick all these years?
Not in the first 3,
talent?
not in 14, not in that second Super Bowl against the Rams where he had, one touchdown?
Well, do we
game?
win that first Super Bowl with Bledsoe at quarterback? Do we win the second and the third? I think not.
I tell you what,
3 and
Brady
4.
would definitely polish up this turd of the Patriots team. I mean, they'd be at least 4-2 with Brady.
That is a crock of crap, and you know that, Billy. You know that. That our defense is the problem. It's not. It's more the deep problem.
All right, we've got one ringing through there as our producer Brian Murphy picks it up. Hi, you're on with Open Season. Who do we got?
Hey, it's Todd.
Todd.
Look, man, so I got to ask you a question. How bad do you think Cam Newton really stinks? And don't go all Tim Mallahan on me. Give me the real deal.
Well, I think Cam's awful. I mean, I've said it all along. I feel like he can't throw. I feel like he used to be able to run. He used to be an athlete at the quarterback position, and I feel like, now he's just not quite as good.
What about Belichick sticking by his side? I mean, come on. He benched him. Why isn't he benching for the next game?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty crazy that Belichick said right away that Cam's going to be playing. Who do you think should play?
Definitely not Cam Newton.
Yeah, so it sounds like maybe you're a fan of Stidham because I don't think Hoyer's even dressing up. But I mean, I just feel like Cam can't get the job done. I feel like I've said this all along, doesn't really have the arm, and I don't think he has the legs with the amount of hits that he's taken.
I agree with you. Thanks for the show, man.
All right, well, we got to love that caller. Hopefully we get more ones like that.
So did Cam have the legs 3 weeks ago?
I was just going to say, I'm old enough to remember when he was an
this.
athlete 3 weeks ago against Seattle.
People wanted to sign him 3 weeks ago. Now I want to cut the guy. I mean, for God's sake, I don't know. I feel like everybody got hot and bothered after 2 good starts from Cam Newton.
Could COVID be affecting him?
I feel like he could, but I feel like he did pretty poorly in the Oakland game, didn't he?
I know, but it's almost like with the play calling they're going with, they're trying to protect him. Those first 3 weeks, they were running Cam left and right, picking up all sorts of yardage. They couldn't figure us out, and now they're resorting to him being a drop back passer. It just doesn't look like the same offense.
Can we all agree though that the talent on this team is not good? If Tom Brady's here. Maybe we're 3-3. Maybe. Billy, have you seen our defense? It is awful.
It's more about the offensive line. Our offensive line hasn't been healthy.
They can't do anything on offense. They can't do anything, and Brady would do something on offense. He would find some of these open guys.
Jeff Wilson.
Yes, you also have to be able to score points. You can't be held to under 12 points for 3 straight games and win anything either.
Saying Jeff Wilson is lazy talk, too, because the Niners – they've been able to run the ball with pretty much anyone back there.
Yeah, you can
so
create
it's
a
more
player
the
back
Ryan. Yeah, it's literally more the Niners.
Yeah, don't
and their
be lazy,
run game
Justin.
Has been
Oh my
fantastic.
God. Okay, guys. First off, their
Jeff
offense.
Wilson's showing
Our
flashes.
defense, our front seven is putrid. I think we all can agree.
Agreed.
We lost 3 linebackers.
Yeah. So there you go.
We didn't solve anything. We also had no money going into this year. We're still paying Tom Brady. I'm not using this as excuses. This is a fault on Bill the GM more than anything. This team sucks. It is what it is. We're not going to win any. If we make the playoffs, that's a good season.
Our offensive line, when healthy, is fine, and a healthy offensive line with our coaching should get you 9 wins.
Who's he throwing
to?
to?
The Bills are a giant pumpkin coming back to earth.
Julian Edelman can't catch a damn thing. Everything goes off his hands and is an interception.
I just feel like there's open guys that he could make some reads a little bit faster on. I feel like there's times where there's 3 open guys, and I feel like Cam can't find a single one of them.
I think
not saying that we have the greatest weapons out there, but the guy can't read a defense.
So Jared Stidham can?
I would rather have.
He looked great when he came in.
I would say that Cam has no future here, where Stidham at least has like a 5% chance. I don't think it's great at all, but I would rather have Stidham out there.
Neither one has a future, but Cam might have a 14-game future. Stidham's got no future here.
Exactly.
Not
Stidham's
this
terrible.
season, not next season, not the season after that. Cam Newton has the rest of this season, and he's going to play better than he did the last 2 weeks.
I'm ready to call up Scott Zolak. Come on down and lace him up.
In terms of skill players outside of the quarterback position, You won't find more than 2 or 3 teams in the league that are worse off than the New England Patriots.
This team's awful.
We need to give Cam, and I was the biggest Cam hater coming into this season. I didn't think he was going to do anything. I think the team, Cam's the product. He's only got so much to work with. His MVP season, he had an all-pro tight end. He had a wide receiver, a young wide receiver in Kelvin Benjamin who hadn't discovered McDonald's yet and the dollar menu. And he had Ted Ginn Jr. burning past every defender out there. And a great set of running backs. And here he's got nothing. He's got nothing.
I think the defenses have somewhat figured Cam out. Maybe a QB spy. They're not letting him really run out of the pocket. And to think that all of a sudden he can't run is it's ridiculous. He was running 2-3 weeks ago. He's not hurt. He just has no confidence. I don't know what it is, but I'm not putting all this on Cam.
Defenses just stack the box, and then he can't throw. So, I mean, they make him one-dimensional, and then he can't throw. I mean,
you need to find creative ways to run him and your running backs because you don't have great receivers. That's not a Cam thing. That's your personnel thing. There's a problem there.
So the guy throws 3 picks, goes 9 of 15 for 98 yards. There's kids at Hopkinton High School who could do that. I mean,
not with this supporting cast. Those kids at Hopkinton High School would throw for 9 picks. That's where your scope is off.
All right, if Tom Brady's playing on Sunday, what's the score, Billy?
I don't think it's that. I mean,
do we win or lose?
Yeah, we lose.
Okay, then what is the difference?
Because he would have at least he would have put us in contention for the Kansas City game, and we would have won the Broncos game if we could have at least had a competent quarterback in that game.
Forgive me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Broncos run all over us the entire game?
Dude, the game was 18-12, and they basically gave that. They threw 2 interceptions at the end of that. Drew Lock threw 2 interceptions, tried to give away that game at the end of it to us. I'm telling you, if we had a competent quarterback, we win that game. I mean. We had what's his face in there, Hoyer, and he couldn't do anything.
I guess my whole point is when Tooney, Andrews, Illuminor, when our quarterback and offensive line play, we're good. I know it hasn't been very many games this year.
Tooney also got hurt last game, which
look, the more that happens, the more whatever. Nothing's going to solve that. But coaching and our healthy team was going to be good enough to win the division. How healthy we end up stacking up in this COVID season is another thing. But we were fine. When we have our full offensive line and our quarterback, we still have a good record. I know that's such a short sample size, but it's there.
Well, guys, it's apparent that the Pats aren't going to do anything to try to stack up their team. One team that is making all the moves to get stacked is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they pull in Antonio Brown. We actually have a clip of Max Kellerman talking about the move and what he thinks.
Any team with AB on it, if that's your AB is one of the best receivers who ever lived. Mm-hmm. And why would we think he's not still in his prime? When last seen on a football field with Tom Brady, he walks onto the team, no reps for the team basically. Game 1 catches 3 first downs and a touchdown. Like, AB put up better numbers year in and year out than anyone since there was Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and then the most consistent guy putting up those kind of Hall of Fame numbers every year was AB. You're adding him to Godwin and Evans, and not only that, but like all the tight ends, including the guy he's most comfortable with, and they have a defense. It's a tipping point. Now, let me say this. Tom Brady has set himself up lovely, and he left the cupboard bare for Belichick because he got Garoppolo shipped out of town. However, I will give credit where credit's due, and you can look however you want. I'll give credit where credit's due. Everyone crediting Brady's leadership before the season, even at the age of 43, he's pulling a kind of LeBron James right now. When they made mental errors one week, there were no mental errors the next. When it looked like AB might be going to Seattle, nope. He's going to Tom Brady. And if there is a quarterback with whom he has a chance to stay, to stick to, or at least gives him his best chance not to implode, it's probably Brady. That's leadership. And however you want to slice it, Belichick sitting at 2-4. Brady looks like he's Super Bowl favorite at this moment out of the.
So, guys, I completely have to agree before we get into it. And I just say, you know, I got to love what Tampa Bay is doing to appease Tom Brady and to go over the top. There's one guy that's clearly committed to the top and being there, and no matter what it is, so, say what you will about Antonio Brown, but they're willing to bring in a guy like that, whereas the New England Patriots aren't willing to do anything to improve their team.
Look, I believe when they signed Gronk, I said, give Brady all the weapons so that when it falls through, I can laugh the hardest. I'm just going to double down. As much better as AB makes them, Ronald Ocean might bring this locker room down, and that's what I'm looking for. I can't stand Antonio Brown. The ego, not the player. The player's fantastic. As consistently elite as we've seen outside of maybe 4 names in NFL history from that position. But too many mouths to feed, and super teams in the NFL in the modern era almost never works.
So is Antonio Brown just going to stop using his phone and doing all the crappy stuff he was doing here? I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. When the Pats signed Antonio Brown last year, everyone said, wow, that's great, but do we actually need him? At that point, Edelman was fully healthy. Gordon was fully healthy. He wasn't smoking weed. And our offense looked pretty good. He came in, he looked great. I'm sorry, but looking at that Buccaneers team, you do not need Antonio Brown to go to the Super Bowl. You don't need him. And it's going to all of a sudden, it's going to be week to week. It's going to be weeks where he doesn't get the passes. It's going to be pissed off. It's going to piss other players off. I don't see him making through the whole season.
You don't need him. Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't need him. Is he going to increase their chances? Hell yeah, he is. He's one of the greatest. He's probably the best receiver on that team right now. He's probably the best receiver on that team.
Healthier than those other receivers too.
He's had a year. He's had a year off to rest. He's still Antonio Brown, and he's going to
a year off at 25 is different from a year off at 32.
He hasn't taken a year off. He's been training. He hasn't been sitting on his couch eating potato chips.
He's been talking to Tony
like
Robbins
Albert
apparently.
Hainsworth.
I'm sorry,
All right?
Antonio Brown. The Buccaneers, as right now, is probably top 3 best team in the NFL. Antonio Brown obviously adds another element to it, but I think what would have put them over the top is adding a cornerback. That would have been much more beneficial than adding Antonio Brown.
It would never happen, but imagine them getting Stephon Gilmore.
Gilmore wanted to go to the Buccaneers.
Gilmore wanted to go there before the beginning of the year, they were saying.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That would have made much more impact than Antonio Brown.
That would have made more impact, but you just got to love it as a Brady's just willing to do whatever it is, and Tampa is willing to do whatever it is to help him out, and to get guys like Leonard Fournette, to get guys like Shady McCoy.
They went too far.
I think it's only going to help. They're scoring 40 points a game without him. I think it's adding a guy that you saw picked up chemistry with Brady, and he didn't even get any practice with him. What did he get, 1 or 2 practices with him, and Brady was calling him the best practice player he's ever played with? So I think you got to love it if you're Tampa. I mean, there's not many fans down there, but they've got to love it.
Tampa's offense is starting to glue together. Gronk is starting to look like maybe 3 years ago Gronk. He's not 2011 Gronk, but he's looking pretty good. Godwin's finally back healthy. How does adding Antonio Brown and his headache, like the BS, I'm sorry.
Because you won't be able to double Mike Evans at all. You won't be able to double anyone on that team.
It doesn't matter if Evans is doubled.
It does matter.
How?
Because it's harder to beat double coverage than it is to beat single coverage.
Since Godwin has come back 2 games ago, Evans has caught 4 passes. They're 2-0, and they've crushed both teams.
Also, Mike Evans has shown you that he will jump off the top rope with an elbow drop.
Yep.
You think he's not catching balls right now, but still involved in the offense as a decoy because Godwin works inside. Yeah. Antonio Brown comes here. Those 2 guys get 20 balls a game, and Mike Evans isn't out here with OPIs and blowing up in the locker room after a loss. Trust me, you don't want this headache.
Yep.
You don't want this headache, but if there's anybody that can deal with it, isn't it Tom Brady? If there's anybody that's going to make Antonio Brown work, isn't it Tom Brady?
Isn't it Tom Brady last time?
Can you at least
Wasn't
admit
it Tom Brady last time?
I'm just saying, this guy's got a $1.1 million contract with incentives and all that. It gets them up to 2.5.
But he wouldn't put his phone down for $10 million, signing bonus guaranteed. Wouldn't put his phone down. I'm supposed to believe that he's humbled enough to now put his phone down?
Tony Robbins has talked to him now. Didn't you hear that, Frank?
Didn't they say last year, this was your last chance? You're coming to the Pats, this is your last chance. He's going to get another chance, just like Josh Gordon. He's an elite talent, and he just gets more and more chances, and then they always let you down. It's going to happen again. He will not make it to the end of the season with the Buccaneers.
Will he score touchdowns in the game? Will he at least move the needle while he's there?
Sure. Every game he plays, he'll be very good. Oh, he'll be fantastic on the field. But this super team thing, it doesn't work in the NFL. I say it every week. This super team thing, it doesn't work. That 2011 Eagles team, it doesn't work.
It can work. The only thing is that it can work with this team just because everyone's mindset and goal is winning a championship. And if you're lead captain is the one pushing that forward, it can work. You got the Gronk buy-in, but Antonio Brown coming in, I think, disrupts that.
Yeah, but you think Mike Evans and Ndamukong Suh's number one objective is to win a Super Bowl?
They're trying to get paid. Mike Evans is trying to get Chris Godwin's contract.
They don't have
is
to
up.
win to do that.
Godwin's contract is up at the end of the year, but I feel like these guys are going to get paid regardless. Don't you think Chris Godwin's going to get a
They're going to get paid
contract?
regardless. That's my point. When they get punched in the mouth in a playoff game, are they going to respond like Tom Brady needs them to? Tom will respond. Even at 43, he'll respond. Will they respond when they get punched in the mouth?
Are you telling me Mike Evans doesn't want to win a championship? Mike Evans is running around on a limp leg, catching balls left and right. That guy wants to win.
He's also trying to get into a fight half the game.
Yeah, he's a head case. he's an absolute head case.
Yeah, he's a head case who catches 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns every year, though.
I take that guy over anything we've had in the past 2 years. Are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, God, thanks.
3 years. Yes, I would.
You would take Mike Evans over a healthy Gronk.
When was Gronk wasn't healthy 2 years ago?
Wait, right now.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on. Which
So we're
Gronk?
saying unhealthy Gronk. Because if I had Gronk healthy, I would take him over Mike Evans.
Isn't Gronk healthy right now?
Yeah, isn't Gronk as healthy
I'd
as he's
rather have Mike Evans.
What's he done over the past 2 weeks? He's done more than Mike Evans.
He sure has.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd rather have
Mike Evans is getting double. Gronk has been single coverage on like small tight ends.
So I thought you said Mike Evans being doubled didn't matter. Because now you're saying it matters.
What I'm saying is, you said that Mike Evans can catch balls out of these double teams, and Chris Godwin has, since he came back, Gronk is looking unreal, and they're fixating the entire defense on Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's getting catches. Gronk the past 2 weeks got like 80 yards and a touchdown both games. Before that, it was all Mike Evans, and it wasn't working. You don't need Antonio Brown to go to the Super Bowl.
But you do.
You don't need him, but you don't think that's going to help them in games where they have to dig deep down. And there's going to be a game or two where it's a little bit harder for Brady to get the offense going. And isn't it going to help to
get the offense going? It's the best offense in the league.
I'm just saying there's going to be a game or two where you may need somebody like Antonio Brown. You may need that extra. We've seen it with Brady. Everybody keeps saying he's a 43-year-old quarterback. People were saying the first couple weeks that he looked 43, right? I mean, he's looked amazing the last 3 weeks, but there may be a game where he needs it. And isn't it going to be nice to have that additional weapon there, especially when these guys have been a little bit banged up with the Bucs?
You need AB more than you need Mike Evans. And I don't say that out of personal preference because I wish that wasn't the case. But history shows you almost never need that elite X receiver. Almost never. Super Bowl champions need somebody on the inside because that's what unlocks other things. That's what allows your lesser receivers to be more wide open, is that guy who has option routes, who manipulates safeties, and allows things to open up for your running game as well and allows you to be more complete. AB is going to win them more games than Mike Evans, but will he lose them games because he makes other people tune out? Will he cause mutiny? Will he ruin that team? I have the utmost faith that he will.
If this offense struggles for a couple possessions in a game, this front seven on the Buccaneers is probably top 3 in the NFL. Their defense has been way above expectations.
Better than
they
I thought.
They can keep them. And Antonio Brown is like a lifesaver. He's another nice to have. He's gonna obviously there are gonna be games that are like, wow, look at these great plays Antonio Brown's making. Then you get back in the locker room, you got to deal with that piece of crap. That's all he is. He's not a good person. He's a terrible person.
It's icing.
Can't they just get rid of him? He's a $1.1 million contract.
Yeah, that's my point. You don't need him. That's what I've been saying the entire time. You don't need Antonio Brown.
But if you can add a top 10 receiver to your roster with a $1.1 million contract, isn't it worth the swing?
If you get rid of him and your 43-year-old quarterback who demanded that you bring him in the first place is now pissed, and then he doesn't hang out with Scotty Miller and Chris Godwin in a high school in Tampa Bay next offseason, will it affect the guy that you just paid? Because I just saw that scenario work itself out.
We know AB's hanging out at Brady's house, him and Giselle.
Derek
Three of them
Jeter's
hanging
house.
out.
It's Derek Jeter's house.
Josh Dodd says, I think adding Brown is a zero-risk gamble, and I couldn't agree more. And I agree with you guys. I think Brady will do whatever it takes. He'll make him live in the guest house if that's what it takes to get him out of trouble.
He lived in the guest house last time. Look what happened.
Can he take his phone? Will he let Tom take his phone?
Exactly. You can't have your phone. No Instagram Live. No Facebook Live.
You can't threaten somebody that you're in an investigation with. You're a stupid idiot. And you're, again, one of the most consistently elite players at your position ever. And you're a jerk-off. And you can't stay on the field, not because of PEDs, not because of health, because you're a bad guy in a league full of bad guys. That should tell you something. That's an indictment.
Yeah, I mean, how bad does Kareem Hunt look right now? I mean, you just see it. You see
Who kicked a human being? and is getting more chances right now than AB.
I'm just saying, let's not say that the NFL cares about bad guys. I mean, let's not bring that into it. There's plenty of bad guys into it.
If you're an elite player, you always get more chances.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The only reason why Ray Rice didn't is because he was washed up.
Exactly.
Speaking of someone who's definitely proved that they're not washed up this year, Aaron Rodgers has looked really great through the first few games. He throws another 4 touchdowns. Devontae Adams goes for almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was watching that. This guy's got pretty much like the quickest first step in the league. And, I mean, I think you look at the Packers, and they couldn't quite pull it out last year, but I think they're definitely looking like a favorite in the NFC so far.
Devontae Adams is in weird purgatory where when he plays, he's a top 3 receiver. But if you're starting a team at wide receivers, he's like your 6th pick. But that's an aside. Aaron Rodgers is having a revenge tour, and it's lovely to see. I love greatness in all sports, all walks of sports and life. You'd like to see him bounce back with a middle finger, which is what 4 TDs is for a quarterback.
Man, I would have loved to seen the Packers get Antonio Brown and add him into that offense.
Wouldn't you have?
I think that him and Devontae, and then having a guy like Allen Lazard coming back, that would have been a lot of fun. And Rodgers hasn't really had 2 true, top tier receivers since Jordy Nelson, Devontae, and I think that's what we equate to him falling off, is he kind of fell off when he just had Devontae to work with and no other real weapons on the offense. And now he's kind of got a little bit more going on with the team. Tanyan's shown some life. They have a top-tier running back in Aaron Jones now. I definitely – the quarterback position, when you're a great quarterback, you can raise the level of those around you, but you are kind of handicapped when the rest of the team around you isn't great. And Aaron's shown what he's capable of still to this day.
Who'd the Packers play last week?
The Bucs.
Right,
Smoked, by the way.
Without Antonio Brown.
Smoked.
I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say.
But I'll tell you what. Antonio Brown on the Buccaneers.
You just made up a terrible case. You said they got beat because
you
said they got beat.
You do not need. You don't need Antonio Brown.
They lost.
The Buccaneers crushed the Packers.
Yeah, he's kicking a dead horse. He's saying the Buccaneers don't need him. That was his point.
That's all I'm saying is that you don't need Antonio Brown.
My point is,
he's coming back and all right.
Billy, you said the Packers are one of the best teams, and the Buccaneers just destroyed them without Antonio Brown. You do not need him. That's all my point is.
Right.
Yes.
But if he was on the Packers,
thought you were talking about that.
Win.
I thought we were talking about him going to the Packers.
We were talking about him going to the Packers.
Yes.
Justin wanted to beat a dead horse.
Justin wanted to come in there and just hammer that one more time. It's established that he would.
I needed to win that argument.
Speaking of elbow drops.
Oh, man.
Just to beat it into submission. All right.
Well, somebody that definitely got beat into submission this weekend was Todd Gurley, probably by their coach.
What a dick.
My God. He scores that touchdown at the end of the game, a game where they could have just gone for the field goal. They could have ran the clock down to 3 seconds left, and kick would have been about a 30-yard field goal to win it. Todd Gurley goes over and scores the touchdown, causing a loss. And, guys, I mean, it's like Atlanta is just inventing ways to choke up games. I haven't even heard of some of these ways that they're choking up games, but it's unreal.
It's a wonder.
This was the most NBA and wide receiver way to lose a game. It's not a running back thing to do, to score and have it cost your team. Very NBA player, very wide receiver, very Todd Gurley, but awful to see. Fun, but tragic.
It is unbelievable that he did this. Like I watched it and I cringed and I said, I cannot believe. Like I wouldn't do that in Madden. Like I can't imagine.
Did you see him kind of stop as he was crossing the goal line? It was like he remembered the second that he crossed the goal line.
So obviously I was a big fan of it because he's on my fantasy team. But other than that, the Falcons secondary, like what was that pass? Stafford threw it for like 40 yards. The guy was double teamed. They caught it, and then they went down. And then there was a penalty. But then they let the clock go, and then they threw a touchdown.
Yeah, it was like time almost ran off that clock. It was like they should have.
It was a mistake by Gurley, but my God, Stafford's throwing it deep. Secondary, figure it out.
Their defense is dog shit, though.
Don't let a notoriously bad defense off the hook. There. It doesn't get there if you just don't be a dick.
Yeah, that was a dick move. Todd, we had some great times with you, man. But, wow, you're scoring touchdowns when you're not supposed to now. What happened?
You're not scoring them when you're supposed to.
Yeah, he's awful, too, this year.
I mean, if I was in the NFL, I'd be scoring at any chance I got. But
when Brian Hill is taking your job.
It's pretty bad for Todd Gurley. You could see him kind of like mouthing like it ain't nothing, or that was great when they had the camera on him. And has Arthur Blank not learned anything not come down from the press box until you win the game? How many times are we going to watch Arthur Blank with his hands in his pockets at the end of a game and lose the game right there?
Oh my God!
It's one of the best. It's one of the things I've come to love in sports, because I think Atlanta's choked away 20 games now or something since they choked away the Super Bowl. It's something. Just incredible.
What an idiot coming down to the field like that. What he has.
I started laughing.
How has he not learned his
I started laughing when he came down.
How does he not learn his lesson?
He also came down to the field for their second win of the season. Like, it's not a big deal. Stay up in the press box. No one wants to see you.
I don't see many other owners. You don't see Jerry Jones or Robert Kraft or any of these guys coming down to the field till the game's over.
Wait until
just
they all
stay in
celebrate
your
in the box. They all put their hands up in the box.
Well, the Patriots have been there before.
To play devil's advocate, as I love to do, he's in Atlanta. Things are different in Atlanta. He comes to celebrate with his team.
And while we're talking about Atlanta, can we go ahead and just blow that team the hell
Blow
up?
it right
Can
up.
we just explode, nuclear bomb that roster? Shit, like, what are you doing holding on to these pieces?
Yeah.
Restart.
It's time to get rid of Matt. It's time to get rid of Matt Ryan.
Keep Ridley and remove everything else.
What are you going to get for Matt Ryan? No one wants Matt Ryan.
You could get something. The Patriots would take Matt Ryan right now. The Pats would take Matt Ryan.
Billy, he gets
the Pats would take Alex Smith.
He's getting paid $20-something plus million a year. We don't have money for Matt
Matt
Ryan.
Ryan wins that Super Bowl.
$20 million for a good quarterback at this point.
He's not a good quarterback.
By the time
Matt Ryan
they
wins
would have
that
paid
Super Bowl,
if I could go back in time, I would have signed Teddy Bridgewater to that contract after seeing what it's like. Haven't you seen what it's like to have a bad quarterback in there?
Billy, who has Matt Ryan had his entire career?
He's had Julio Jones, Roddy White. Yes.
Put Matt Ryan on this team. What are his numbers?
Probably better than Cam's right now.
Better than Cam's. That's my point.
No, it's not.
You think Cam? I just don't get how you think. Why does Cam get so much leash in your book? He's been hurt the last couple of years.
Cam's been good.
He couldn't even throw when he was healthy.
There are maybe 5 quarterbacks in this league that could lead this offense to maybe an AFC Championship game. Maybe.
Yes, I understand that is the barometer for success here, but the Pats need to get used to, thinking that something else is the barometer for success. An 8-8 season right now would be success.
Billy, we've had 20 years of great football. This is the first year that we've seen struggles, and you're ready to jump off the cliff like it's coming to an end. Going into the season, this team was not good.
Because we have a talk show to do. It's like I got to react to it. They're 2-4.
I understand.
Our heads are falling off.
Matt Ryan would win 11 games here in the same way Cam is going to win 10 and would have maybe won 11 if our offensive line didn't turn into goo.
And he didn't get.
Do you realize what kind of run they'd have to go on to win 10 games at this point, though? It's just
sure, but we're not talking hindsight. We're talking hindsight 2020.
We're looking down the barrel of 8-8 right now.
Yeah, Illuminor's been out. Andrews has been out.
8-8 if we can drastically change things and actually start
8-8
scoring some
if we
points.
Get Matt Ryan.
And not allowing teams to just carve through us like a knife through hot butter. Jeff Wilson, who and whatever other no-namers you want to run out there that are just going to run through us.
Are the Bills going to run all over this weekend? Are they just
but we're
going
to run right over them because they're bad as well.
Yeah, but
the only thing that gives me some hope is that Belichick in his career has been so good against the Bills
and the AFC,
and they
East
always
kind
of seem to get it right against the Bills at home.
The Bills were terrible last week against the Jets. But
they still won.
They won. You can have bad games win. The Pats lost to the Browns.
They still put up 18 points, which is something that I'd be hoping for the Pats to do at this point.
Yeah.
If you score 18, you still lose the game. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it's better than 6.
Oh my God, man! Like Matt Ryan, he comes here. He's going to have to put up 35 points to keep up with the defense that is terrible. Just saying, this defense.
Matt
is the biggest
Ryan,
problem.
when paired with a good defense,
okay, they have a bad defense, but they have a good secondary. They've invested a lot in that secondary. Yeah. Are they going to just blow that all away too?
It worked out great against the Chiefs, didn't it?
Wait, who's secondary? Our secondary?
Our secondary.
Our secondary is very overrated, and I love our secondary.
It's overrated, but it's good on paper.
It's overpaid and overrated. It's great on paper. It is above average in practicality. That's the fact of the matter. It's above average, and that's about it.
Gilmore has not been Gilmore this year.
Gilmore very obviously doesn't want to be here.
Yep.
Yeah, Gilmore does not look like a defensive player of the year.
I just saw this.
He looks like he's aged about 5 years and 1.
I just saw this from a quarterback who didn't want to be here, and he all of a sudden looked a little bit older. It's the same thing. He doesn't want to be here.
If there's a year to
I don't think
blow
he'll
it
be
up
here past this one.
As a GM, if there's a year to blow it up and start over, this is it. This is your chance. There's no fans in the stands. You want to blow it up, trade everything away for picks, build for the future. This is the year to do it, and I'm not seeing anyone do it right now, and it's maddening. The Falcons should have already traded away everyone. What is going on? There's other teams too. It's not just the Falcons. I think the Pats are in that boat. I think the Jets. I mean, they're just
they don't have anyone to trade.
The Jets have kept Adam Gase employed just so that they can continue to tank.
Yeah, they're tanking for Trevor.
Quentin Williams, Sam Darnold. They have people they can trade too.
I don't know. It's tough. As a GM, you got to make a move. This is the year to do it. There's no fans in the stands.
So if you're the Pats, are you saying that they're sellers, or
I would sell everything
Never
this year as a Patriots GM. I would gear up with all the second and third and fourth and fifth round draft picks that Belichick loves so much. Anything but first rounders, of course, in New England. And I would go on a tear. I'd build a new.
You would build a new with seconds and thirds. So you would go in there with like another Kyle Duggar and more Juwan Bentleys. We need elite talent.
Look,
and we're not going to.
We're so bad this year. We're going to get some elite
Belichick's not going to take
picks.
elite talent. I mean, we have $100 million next year, but I feel like somehow we're going to end up spending that on guards and offensive line and whatever.
That's why I'm saying blow it up, draft all this.
Didn't we say they have a decent
rounders.
offensive line this year?
Have you
When
seen their
they're
defensive
healthy,
line?
we've been good. They haven't been healthy.
We find elite talent in the second, third, fourth, fifth round.
No, we don't.
Yes, we
None
do.
of
Those
the
are the rounds we
gigantic
find talent in.
misnomer.
We find talent in every round,
It
but
hasn't
the first
happened in
round.
a couple years.
We haven't found talent late in drafts since like
In a long time.
What about Tooney?
That was
What about
5
David
years
Andrews?
ago.
No,
No.
Those were like 5 years ago.
they
David
were not
Andrews
5 years ago.
David Andrews was also not a sleeper pick.
Regardless, this team needs to sell. I would, this team's not going anywhere.
David Andrews was undrafted.
If a team offers
just
Gilmore
so
for a
you
first
guys
round
know.
pick,
so it's kind
trade
of a
him.
sleeper pick. Bitch.
And this Adam Butler was
so that's-
undrafted. He was still highly touted from the
Watch your mouth.
Patriots media.
we can't be that disrespectful on this show.
I apologize.
No. Well, as I just butt in with that, I think we have to get to a pretty big game this week was Baker Mayfield going against Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow looking like a young stud out there, but Baker Mayfield, kind of in the game of his life. Sans Odell Beckham, Odell Beckham was out early in that game, so I don't know. I think Joe Burrow, we're going to be looking at him as a guy for years to come, the next 5-10 years. This guy is going to be an absolute stud. Was the first Bengal rookie to throw for 400 yards. Baker Mayfield, I'm not thinking so much. I see him forcing it into the tight end. Like in the best game of his life, I saw him kind of like force-feeding the tight ends like I would in Madden, basically. And I don't really see it for Baker. What do you guys think?
I'm over Baker. I'm over him. I just don't see him long term. I mean, then again, he played. He still put up 5 touchdowns, but I don't think he's got the mental fortitude to be a long term quarterback in the NFL. I think he's going to get benched in the next year or two, and it's going to be real ugly when he does.
He's small and he's just kind of average at a lot of things. He's not like an amazing thrower. Doesn't have amazing accuracy. I think you can see why he was a walk-on at a couple programs. He just doesn't have anything that leaps off the page to you.
Yeah,
he's got balls. Something Sam Darnold does not have. Baker, and everyone says, Odell Beckham Jr., he's a phenomenal talent. Talent-wise, top 5 receiver in the league. Since he's got there, Baker Mayfield has not been a great quarterback. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield is all of a sudden become a good quarterback, but I think when Cleveland was having struggles, they were trying to force-feed Odell, trying to get him involved with sweeps, trying to just force-feed him. Jarvis Landry, to me, is a better receiver at this point than what Odell's providing that team. He doesn't work in that team.
I agree.
But let's also think they played the Bengals.
Baker Mayfield has the mentality and the IQ and the fortitude. He's got the arm. He doesn't have the athleticism to be that size, and he doesn't have the feet, which is weird. He's got the arm and the brain. He doesn't have the feet. He's skittish, and he's been skittish ever since his sophomore year. He's got that David Carr syndrome. Yeah. He's been hit too many times.
He's never going to go to a Pro Bowl, but you put him on a team that has a good defense and some decent pieces on offense, and that team could win a Super Bowl.
You're not even convinced.
What about a succession plan like this? What if ultimately the Browns don't think that he could be their man, and Belichick goes and tries to get somebody like Mayfield? I mean, that wouldn't be too bad of a succession plan.
I just want to see us tank this year and draft one of those.
Right now, they have no plan. That would at least be some plan.
I mean, maybe that's Belichick's plan. He knows Cam sucks. He knows he's telling McDaniels to call the worst place possible, and he's saying we're tanking and we're getting Trevor, Justin Fields, or that D1AA cat who's pretty nasty as well. Maybe that's
Bill would never tank it.
In this year, if there's a year to do it, it's this year.
I agree with
it's
you.
This
He's not
going to
do it.
It is this year, but it's not that coach.
I don't know. I
He's
feel like
chasing Don Shula and wants to get as many wins as he possibly can.
Yeah, you don't think that he can tank for a year and then come back stronger than ever?
I
He's
think
Bill
Not at
Belichick.
68. I think he's starting to do the math.
He's about to be 69. It'll probably be
He
his
can
best
win
year.
9 with Cam, and
Shout
then he
out,
can
Gronk.
go on the market and get him a Sam Darnold, a Baker Mayfield, an Alex Smith, a Kirk Cousins,
take
a
Alex
one of
Smith's
these
name out of your
guys.
mouth.
Sure, it doesn't. It's not what you think. It's what Bill thinks, because he's going to be here, and he thinks he can win with X guy.
Bill, I believe Josh McDaniels also came back because they made an agreement. They made behind closed doors agreement. This is your team when Bill's gone. Don't leave us yet. We're going to help. Josh is
That was
gonna
when
have
Bill was going to
his
trade
ability.
Brady for Garoppolo. That was like 9 contingency
Josh
plans
is going to
ago.
have
That
Josh
was
is going to
very
have a
long
hand in
time
this.
ago
You
in
think
Patriots
Josh
history.
wants to see us shit away the chance to get a young quarterback now and then build up a new roster?
Personally, I think McDaniels drafted Michelle. I think he drafted Wynn, and I know he drafted Tebow. So I don't really care what he thinks from roster construction point of view. He has been bad at that.
So is Bill.
His job is to run the
apparently,
offense, and he
according
hasn't
to
been
your-
able to do that over the past few
According
games.
to what you have to say,
Listen,
Bill's
didn't
bad
do
at
it last year either.
In the last 10 years, Bill's been a mediocre drafter at best.
100% agree.
Just so we're clear, because you wanted to take that shot, Bill's not bad at it. And over the
Yeah.
longevity of his career, he's actually been quite a good drafter. In
But
the last
Bill is
10
the
years,
reason that
he's
they're in
been
hot
bad.
water right now.
I agree.
I mean, from the roster construction standpoint,
I said he's been bad
the
the
most
last 10
talented
years.
player he's drafted in the last couple of years is what, Chase Winovich at this point? I mean, I don't know.
The guy with the golden locks.
The guy with the golden locks, the guy that's getting benched for what was that, roughing the passer play or whatever on Garoppolo, and then he was talking back to Bill Belichick. Is there anybody stupider to try to talk back to Bill Belichick when you're on the sideline? Just let him air you out. But anyway, enough about Chase Winovich. He's another guy that gets a lot of ads for being pretty mediocre, like Baker Mayfield. But Justin Herbert, another rookie.
This guy.
Another Joe Burrow-like rookie, just absolutely incredible. Only player since 1970 with 1,500 plus passing yards and over 100 plus passer rating in his first 5 games. Goes for 4 total touchdowns, 412 total yards, albeit it was against the Jaguars. But, I mean, Justin Herbert just looks completely unflappable. This guy looks like a 5-year vet at this point. Doesn't look like a rookie at all to me.
I'm still not convinced.
Shut up. Shut your mouth. Go
Excuse
on.
me?
Go on. Go. All right. Go on.
Excuse
Don't
me?
open it. Open your mouth.
He's a big oaf. He's got the arm. He's got the size. I'm not convinced he'll ever take it to the next level, which is line audibles, which is calling protection, which is line adjustments. I don't
That
know
team
that
has
he can
been
read a
hurt, and he's
defense.
come in with missing a lot of his offensive line,
He's-
missing receivers. I mean, he's come in there
But right
with
now
a
he's
lot
just
of broken
But right now
pieces.
he's just being big and taking the shots. He's just staring down the barrel of the gun with his arm and letting it go, and that's also talented. He's also been a little bit faster than I thought he was, but I'm not sure that he'll ever be able to read a defense and win a tight game.
He's
He's
not,
the most talented QB we've seen come out of the draft since Patrick Mahomes.
Are
you
you
don't
crazy?
feel like the Chargers?
Joe Burrow?
What?
What are you talking
What
about?
are you
I feel like
saying?
Joe Burrow's more talented than him.
You think Burrow's better than
Oh my
Herbert?
God.
I think he's
Josh
going to
Allen
be.
is more.
Joe-
While
guys-
we're at it,
you
Josh
guys-
Allen is more talented.
all right.
He's not
all right.
better than-
Well,
I would-
be careful with that.
Yeah.
I will take.
Who's got the best arm in the league?
I will take Herbert.
The
over
best
Josh
arm in the
Allen.
league,
Mahomes?
Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes doesn't have a better arm than Josh Allen.
Josh,
Yes, he
That's
does.
crazy.
We're just talking
Are you
arm
ta-
strength.
yeah,
then
you
if that's
talking like
what you're
throwing it
saying.
far?
If we're talking accuracy, Herbert's got more accurate,
Josh
better
Allen can
arm
make more-
than Josh Allen.
No, you
Josh
better
Allen
start
make
talking
more
Jamarcus
unguardable
Russell if
throws.
you want to talk about guys
Josh
who
Allen
can just
make
throw
more
the.
unguardable throws than Mahomes. Josh
Aaron-
Allen just can't.
What kind of
No,
what
Herbert's
kind of
incredible.
stat are you pulling up? Unguardable throw. I mean, what is that even to try to make Josh Allen the same type of thrower as Pat Mahomes?
Aaron Rodgers at 37 is a better arm than Josh Allen.
That's crazy pants.
No, it's not at
That's
all.
absolutely crazy pants.
That's not.
That-
Aaron Rodgers can make throws Josh Allen wish he could make.
I agree.
I agree with
That's-
that.
I think
but
Josh
it's vice
Josh
versa, they're
Allen can
different styles.
throw the ball further, maybe. But I mean, who
Unquestionably.
cares about that? At that point, I care about Jamarcus Russell and guys like that.
I just think everyone was ready to hail Josh Allen as MVP 3 weeks ago. He's looked
No, that's
pretty
overhyped
average
for the
past
same
2
reason
weeks.
that Justin Herbert is. Because
Justin
neither one
Herbert's
might
done
be
it
able to read a
against
defense.
Justin Herbert played against the Chiefs, led him all the way almost to the end of the game, threw a bad pick at the end, but then the next week against the Buccaneers had a great
He
game.
got confused at the end.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie without a lot of
Did you
offensive
see Josh
pieces.
Allen as a rookie? He couldn't make a 15-yard pass.
Right. They're
Takes
similarly
time.
talented, and they have the same problem. They may not get to the next level.
Herbert's,
They may not have it between the ears.
Herbert
we don't know
is
yet.
Hasn't
going to
Herbert
the
shown
next
you?
level.
You don't think
No,
Herbert
God.
hasn't shown
is
you
going
enough as
to
a
the next
rookie?
level.
You could
He
show me
will
nothing in 4 weeks.
He will be at least a 7-time Pro Bowler.
Whoa, whoa,
Maybe
whoa, okay.
maybe a 10-time Pro Bowler.
Are you-
Herbert
Oh my
is
God.
that
I'm the one
good.
who's pro
Wow.
He is
hyperbole, and we
that-
got this over here.
That,
No, that-
good. He is
We're
that
walking up the
talented.
cave.
He will win an MVP
Are you
in
talking
his
about
career.
Joe
He's
Burrow?
going to win an MVP.
Justin Herbert will win an MVP in his career. He is incredible. He's the best. He's probably the most talented
Who is-
quarterback I've seen in the league besides Patrick Mahomes.
Who has
right now.
more? Who has more talent on their team, Joe Burrow or Herbert?
Joe Burrow at wide receiver.
Joe
and
Burrow,
skill
Joe
positions.
Burrow may have more talent
Joe
at
Burrow
receiver.
does. He's got
Keenan-
AJ Green,
Keenan
Tyler
Allen?
Boyd, John Ross. He's got
Mike
he
Williams,
even has
Hunter
that-
Henry. What are you
that
talking
Austin
Just said
about?
Joe
guy.
Ross was trash before we got on air. Don't mention him. as
John
part of
Ross
your
is
argument.
trash, but he's
AJ
a depth
Green has been
wide receiver.
terrible this year.
And if
Green
you're
has
talking
zero
about
separation.
the Chargers, they've had guys hurt in and out. Hunter Henry hurt. Keenan Allen hurt.
He's healthy. They
Everyone
both
keeps
are.
getting hurt. Austin
They're both
Eckler's
healthy.
hurt.
Mike
Their
Williams.
starting O-line hasn't been healthy.
Mike
You're
Williams is
you-
a better receiver than all the Bengals
Mike
receivers.
Williams is trash, and
Are
you're
you
out of your freaking mind.
Alex
Wow.
is honestly speaking the truth right now.
Yeah,
they
thank
have
you.
had
Thank
guys
you.
hurt. They have had guys hurt there all. They've had guys hurt there all year.
Okay, so-
Justin
Their
Herbert
whole
is doing an
offense has been
incredible
hurt.
job.
Austin Eckler's been
Bro.
Dude, honestly, look,
you guys are
look,
crazy.
look. The Bengals don't have the best offensive line, but they have pieces at wide receiver.
AJ Green is old and hurt. He has been terrible this entire year. T. Higgins is a decent player. Boyd has been okay. Keenan Allen is much better than any of those receivers.
He's been hurt. Hasn't he been hurt? Keenan Allen has been hurt.
He's still catching 6-7 balls a game.
The
What are
funny
you
thing
talking
is
about?
he's come out of 2 games early, and he's had 5 catches in both.
Yeah, what are you talking
He has still
about?
been a factor in every game that he
Hunter
hasn't
Henry
completed.
Who's the Bengals tight end? Can you name him? No one can.
Drew Sample. CJ Ozuma's
Yeah.
Well, guys, there's been a lot of rookies doing well this year, and I think that puts us into, there's a lot of guys going for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. You've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. You have CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson in Minnesota, Brandon Ayuk, who we just went against in 49ers. If you're talking about my Rookie of the Year so far, I think you're almost talking maybe a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I think Joe Burrow is going to probably be the guy that comes ahead and wins it as a rookie. Who do you guys like as offensive rookie of the year?
Herbert.
Well,
It's clear that you like Herbert.
yeah, you're nailed to that take.
Well, no.
You said he's going to be an MVP and a 10-time Pro
Look
Bowler.
at the stats. I'm just saying for this season alone, you look at the stats between Burrow and Herbert, and Herbert's already caught up to Burrow in most of the statistical categories, and he's outplaying him on a per-game basis. If he plays the rest of the season at the rate he's at, he's on pace to break the touchdown records at 27 for the season for a rookie quarterback. He's on pace to potentially break a lot of records. I mean, he is a stud. The QBR rating's great. I mean, Burrow's great too. I just think that Herbert's ceiling's higher. I really do.
Alex, Burrow has 4 300-yard games already.
5.
Oh, 5, sorry. That's that's already a record.
Okay.
So
And
how is
he went
Herbert
into
putting
this-
up better numbers?
Look
And he
at the
just put
numbers.
up a 400-yard
He
passing
just put
game.
up an unbelievable game. What are you talking
No.
about?
No, I'm saying
for
Burrow
Herbert.
just put up.
I know, but Herbert just put up a 350-yard game and ran
He
for
has
another. He has as
5
many rushing
300-yard
yards as
games.
Burrow has already.
5 300-yard
I know
games.
rushing's not the stat that we go by to break down with quarterbacks, but Herbert's got what 300-yard games. He's
I don't think that's true.
4 300-yard games. Herbert's right there as well, and I don't want people to sleep on Herbert just because everyone
No,
wasn't
that's
high
clear.
on him in the draft.
Just because
I'll say someone
I've
that
been
no one's going
saying-
to talk about. I
yeah.
think Justin Jefferson deserves at least some sort of nomination. He's been unreal
Well,
so
it's
far
a
this year.
conference stat, so it's basically him
The
or
quarter,
CeeDee
the
Lamb
quarterback,
in
the
NFC.
quarterback gets it. He's going to get it. Either one of those two. But
CeeDee
I think
Lamb
Justin
screwed the
Jefferson's
rest this
been
year.
phenomenal.
It's going to be
CeeDee's
Jefferson or Lamb in the NFC.
CeeDee's
In
the better
AFC,
talent,
it's
but
going to
he's
be
screwed.
Burrow.
Yes.
It's going to be Burrow.
CeeDee's the better talent for sure, but he just hasn't had a good enough chance to show
also
it
the
with that.
yeah.
with
He
that.
has
Dalton.
Sean from Walmart
with
throwing to him.
Ben DiNucci throwing to him, but we'll
Ben
get to that in a
DiNucci.
minute. Big Ben almost tried to throw away that game. Almost threw away enough interception. If they didn't start out with a big lead, They obviously lose that game against Tennessee, but they obviously remain undefeated. And Steven Gostowski, former hero for the Pats, at least a few times, was terrible kind of at that last season, but misses a big kick. A.J. Brown had a huge day there. But I don't know. The Pittsburgh Steelers are looking like a machine, guys, and they're looking like the best team in the AFC. Is there anybody who's going to catch them, or are they Super Bowl favorites?
I think they're the most complete team in the league, and going against what that usually indicates, I would say they're third best in their conference. I'm still going to go with – they just beat Tennessee. I'm still going to put money on Tennessee in a playoff game, even if it's in Pittsburgh. And I think right now Kansas City is the champs. They're the champs until somebody beats them in a meaningful game. They have the best player in the world. I'm going to ride my coat with the best player in the world usually. Safe bet.
If the game was the other way around, if Tennessee had a huge lead, the game's over. They'll just run the ball.
They would have ran it.
The fact they even came back was, it was great, fun to watch. I think Pittsburgh right now has the most talent on both sides of the ball in the entire NFL, but I don't see them win the championship. I think look at the AFC Championship game, and I do think the Chiefs will beat them because Patrick Mahomes will pull off some miraculous comeback, and I'll go with Mahomes over anyone.
Yeah, I wish I could disagree, but I feel like I've been saying Chiefs look like a great candidate to repeat, and I think that the Pittsburgh is definitely the most complete team that I've seen right now with their defense. Last year, they decided to go all in on Minkah Fitzpatrick, and that's really paid dividends for them. They've really turned things around on the defensive side of the ball. And, there's just a ton of weapons on offense. You saw Deontay Johnson and Smith-Schuster both kind of have their way this weekend. So, and Ben Roethlisberger has played great. So I really like what the Steelers are doing. I think that they'll advance pretty far. But I again think that the Chiefs are going to be the cream of the crop in the AFC.
Yeah, I think we're all forgetting about the Chargers with Justin Herbert.
Oh, my good Lord.
No. I'm actually pretty high on the Steelers right now just because of how elite their defense is. I think, the Chiefs can definitely be shredded. Having said that, their offense can shred anyone, so it can be really kind of like a shootout situation. Worst case, kind of like what we saw in last year's playoffs with the Chiefs in some of their games, like against the Texans and whatnot. Oh.
All right. Well, you've tickled the callers, and we've got one ringing through here. Hi, you're on open season.
What's up, fellas? Whitey from Queens.
I knew with the timing it had to be right. Whitey, how you doing, man?
Not bad. Watching Dodgers potentially choking away yet another big October game.
Wouldn't it be ideal?
Oh yeah. Baseball is still going on, isn't it?
You guys realize it's like a big World Series game tonight, but hey, I don't blame you. Like football is king. I'm only watching because there's no other sports games on right now, and I'm just dying to watch the Rays lose because I hate their guts more than I hate the Rays more than the Red Sox at this point as a Yankee fan.
Probably first time anyone's ever said they hate the Rays.
Yeah, I don't.
People Rays haters.
Yeah, people in Tampa Bay don't know. They're indifferent to the Rays. For you to hate them is impressive.
Well, because they own the Yankees this year, and they just talk trash to us all year. They kind of dance on our grave when they beat us.
How do you like their starters going 4 innings? How does that appeal to you, the consumer of the game, watching it?
Oh, it's terrible baseball.
Baseball
isn't it, Whitey?
I can't watch baseball nowadays. I just have it on. The analytics has really ruined baseball. But before I get into the Steelers, I'm all on the Justin Herbert bandwagon. This kid's a stud.
No.
Yeah.
You heard Alex banging the drum on that one. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm right there with Alex. Dude, this kid has 12 touchdowns, 3 picks in his rookie year on the Chargers. The Chargers, dude,
a talented roster. I'm sorry, hold on.
Chargers are not a bad team.
Phillip Rivers just went to another good team and made them worse. Listen,
I'm listening. I'm listening to you, Whitey. Keep
Shut
going.
your mouth. You go ahead.
Phillip Rivers won. How many playoff games has he won on that Chargers franchise? They had Drew Brees. They blew that. Then they draft Phillip Rivers, and they couldn't even do anything in the postseason with Phillip Rivers. So the fact that Justin Herbert is a rookie and he's killing it. I know they don't have a good record, but he's putting up numbers.
Herbert's not just laying down. Yeah, Herbert's not laying down in the playoffs the way Rivers did. I'll tell you that right now. They have they're gonna be much better. Herbert's going to have more wins in the playoffs one of his first 6 years in the league than Rivers probably did in his whole career in the Chargers.
Well, that's not a big limb to go out on.
No.
I mean, old man Rivers was always throwing that back-breaking pick. So
I've never been a Rivers fan, but he did play with a torn ACL in New England.
He did.
I'll give him credit
No,
for that.
I respect Rivers. I'm just saying he wasn't the guy. I don't know if it was coaching holding him back, but it always seems like he had good pieces. LaDainian Tomlinson, obviously, best running back in the league. I don't know.
Yeah, how do you not win more playoff games with LaDainian Tomlinson?
Because LT was kind of a wuss too. He used to sit out a lot of those playoff games. I feel like
LT
I feel
is
like
soft
I
and they had
always remember him being on the bike in those games, right? He was always like on that warm-up bike. I feel like during the playoff games. Go ahead, Frank.
No, they had a loser of a head coach. Like Schottenheimer is a classic 11-5 first round out. He's the equivalent of the Golden State Warriors every decade before this past one, where they just run and gun, and they're never going to win anything that matters.
So, Whitey, we all have the Steelers going to pretty much the AFC Championship, so I bet you've got to be happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like, I wish you guys were, like, hating on the Steelers so I could, like, put you down with stats and facts and logic, but, like, I can't really do it. What I wanted to do is kind of like, so everyone's losing their mind over the fact that Roethlisberger had 3 picks, but I don't know if any of the commentators that are losing their mind actually watched those 3 picks. Did you guys actually see those 3 picks?
I watched that game. The first pick was at the end of the half where he was just completely throwing that one away, so that one I wipe off the board.
Yep, and the second one, he threw the ball in a defensive lineman.
Yeah, it was
threw
tipped.
his hands up.
Yeah, it went like
deflected
straight up in the air, like 20, 30 feet.
Yep. And the third one, I mean...
The third one was on him. That was a bad throw.
But I think Juju could have made that play, though. I mean, even Big Ben after the game, he said, if I see Juju being guarded by a linebacker, I'm throwing it up to Juju, and he's making that play 9 times out of 10.
Welker should have
Juju had it in his hands, too. He had it in his hands, but he didn't catch it. And then it went to his only fault was the fact that there was 2 other Titans, defenders nearby who were there to easily. And believe me, when I saw that pick, I screamed at the TV. I lost my mind. But
it gives me so much joy to just picture that.
Yeah, you could put that pick on Ben, but Juju could have made that play. It wasn't like any like Russell Wilson's getting heralded as next coming of Jesus Christ. He had worse interceptions that game.
It wasn't a Cam Newton pick, that's for sure.
Yeah, Cam is just It wasn't as bad. And I mean, Ben has looked a lot better than. I mean, I got to give credit. I thought Ben was done when I heard that he had an elbow injury. I thought there's no way he's going to get in shape. No way he's going to come back with the same arm. And he's come back and he's arguably been better than he has been the last couple of years. He's looked kind of like the Ben Roethlisberger of a few years ago.
Yeah, and I have to say that in the fourth quarter, Big Ben led. Before he threw that pick to Juju, he led an 8-minute-long drive, which pretty much sealed the game. I mean, the defense completely neutralized Derrick Henry outside of the second to last drive of the game when Derrick Henry punched it in.
Oh, yeah.
That was the only drive of the game that Henry did anything. I mean, he got completely neutralized.
It's amazing that even when he gets neutralized, he still gets like 75 yards and a touch.
Yeah, it's great. It's ridiculous.
You're like, wow, he did nothing. And I look up, it's 20 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. I'm like...
Yeah, his worst game in the last 2 years, he still put up like 15 fantasy points.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Whitey, if the Chiefs play the Steelers in the championship game, who do you think takes that game?
Honestly, I think the Chiefs probably it's so hard to stop Mahomes, but if any team can do it, it's the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers are number 1 in the league.
TJ Watt's going to his ass.
Yeah, I mean, they lead the league in pressure rate, 47% of the time. So basically every other play, the quarterback gets rushed. And, I mean, the Devin Bush injury hurts, of course. Like I said this last week. But Spillane came in, replaced Bush, and looked good. He was that guy that stopped. He, ran into Henry on that goal line play before.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Like, he's an adequate replacement.
The
I just think
Steelers,
it's so
man.
hard.
They
It's so hard
always
for
have
teams.
great linebackers and great wide receivers. Always.
Yeah.
That's a team that can draft.
Oh, yeah. Coach,
That's what it's like.
Coaching's the problem with the Steelers. It always has been.
I think Tomlin's proved
Three
himself.
coaches since the '60s. Coaching.
Yeah, I would say that I'd say that I give Tomlin the benefit of the doubt.
You
Now
do?
I used to
He's
laugh
won
at him
one
and
Super
just
Bowl
look
with
at him
Big
as a
Ben and
as a
all those
rah-rah
players.
coach.
Look at AB and
Yeah,
Elliott
but
since he
look
left.
who he's had to go through. He's had to go through Tom Brady every single year.
I know, but still.
Yeah,
come on.
exactly. With no Tom Brady, this is our time. I mean, and you also look at T.J. Watt. I don't like. He's had more sacks through his first 4 years than any other Steelers defensive player ever. Like he's got 40 sacks through his first 4 years, and the season's only half done.
Yeah,
I mean the next guy is Lamar Woodley. You remember Woodley?
Yep.
And like Joey Porter had 30 through his first 4 years. He's just a stud. He leads the league in tackles for losses. I mean, you watch this kid. Every single play, he's involved. Whether he's pressuring the quarterback, where he's deflecting a pass. I mean, he even gets interceptions. It's crazy. And this just goes to show you. Last year, I called this show and I advocated for T.J. Watt winning defensive MVP.
I remember.
Who won it? Gilmore. He's trash this year. That just goes to show you I was right.
No, it doesn't.
Well, he was the defensive player of last year. I feel like T.J. Watt could clearly be the defensive player this year. But I feel like.
But I advocated at that time. I said T.J. Watt's a bigger. He's a better player.
Well, I think the argument is
impact on
just
the game.
last year. I mean, Gilmore was pretty lights out last year. He had like 2 pick sixes. I mean,
So was Watt, though. I thought Watt should have won it last year.
yeah. No, I mean, usually Watt would be the guy that wins it. I feel like usually they're not going to give it to a guy like Gilmore. Usually it's the guy with big sacks and forced fumbles and all that.
Gilmore is the best player on a division winner. Led the league in picks. T.J. Watt was the best player on a team that didn't make the playoffs. And T.J. Watt's incredibly dominant. Like, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that Big Ben tore his elbow up. It's not his fault.
Exactly.
But that's also the narrative. That's also the case.
They honestly were a really impressive 8-8, though. I mean, they started out really poor.
No question. But your defensive MVP voting, usually team success has something to do with that. And his didn't.
Without
help
T.J. Watt, they would have been 4-10, 4-12 last year.
Agreed.
I mean, he kept every single game. He kept them in every single game. Him and then Bud Dupree on the other side of the ball. A quarterback has no time to throw against the Steelers team, and no one can rush the ball. I mean, we neutralized the Browns' rushing attack. We neutralized Derrick Henry. I mean, so the Chiefs, they can put up points in bunches. That's what they do, but they usually have to do that because they've been falling behind in games. And I think if they fall behind against the Steelers, I don't think they can come back because the Steelers can match them with offensive, points. When they get these huge leads against the Texans, like the Titans, these teams don't have the firepower to basically, keep the points coming while Chiefs are like engineering these comebacks.
Didn't the Titans just do that to the Steelers last week?
Well, I think he said they came up
they fell
short ultimately. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were a Gostowski miss away.
Yeah.
Aren't you trying to avoid that type of game script if you're a Steelers fan anyway? Aren't you trying to beat teams like 18-16? Why are you trying to have a shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs? That's not going to go the way you think it will. I don't care how many weapons you have. That game script, that 48-45 game, it's not going to go the way you want it to.
Well, hey, this call went exactly the way we wanted it to, and we appreciate you dialing us up, Whitey. All the way down there.
Yeah, guys, keep the Steelers love going. And by the way, I just got to give you guys props for being like actually talking sports from like an actual knowledge perspective. It's so annoying having to listen to these hacks like all day, like Skip Bayless and all these guys that debate the same BS every single day. Oh, is LeBron better than Jordan? Every single show. Is LeBron better than Jordan? Is Jordan better than LeBron?
I'll have you know in the summer, we're going to have plenty of those shows, and I expect you to call in. Don't you worry. In the summer, when there's no Red Sox, we'll have plenty of those.
Oh, God, please don't go that route. Trust me. It's not what the people want to hear.
We'll keep it fresh.
All right,
we got you, Whitey.
thanks, Whitey. We'll talk to you next week, man.
I guess.
So, great stuff out of Whitey. I mean, I feel like every week he hits us right in stride when we're giving the Steelers their love, and it's been like 3 straight weeks of Cam and Pat's questions, but it's been 3 straight weeks pretty much of praising the Steelers too. At the end of it, they're 6-0, and they look like a really complete team doing it on both ends. And I think that's going to do it for us here on Open Season. Do it for both ends of us here. And we're going to wrap it up. We appreciate you hanging with us tonight. And we'll catch you next week. Going to do it a little bit earlier next week. We'll be on at 7 o'clock. We'll see you then.
I'm just not sure that Kyler Murray is big enough. This is Tom Brady. He's not just going to retire. Whitey, big fan of the show. Appreciate I've got Ryan Murphy to my left, making sure everything's smooth, crispy, buttery. James Harden is systematically ruining the game of basketball. He's the most overrated player. And there you are, the Chicago Bears with a championship defense. And Mitch, I'm sure Dancing with the Stars is happy to have Antonio back. If you thought you were going to get Zion, that's your bad.